Hello lovely face paint artists, my name is Leanne Courtney. I design Leanne's collection and Leanne's rainbow brushes, and today I'm going to do a couple of different types of flowers, and I'll be using my Leanne's rainbow brushes, and also I'll be looking at using the butterfly palette today. I have a few different palettes that I use for flowers, but I think this one's a good all-rounder. You've got lots of different options in there for flowers, and I do have a specific one for flowers, but I think if you're just starting out, it also might be a good idea to get something that's good for flowers and other things, and then as you get more jobs, then maybe branch out and buy some other palettes, and definitely have a look at Leanne's rainbow flower palette as well, because that is stunning. So as I said, I use my own brand of brushes and a couple of different brushes. So I'm looking at, for larger flowers and larger leaves, you want to use the 3/4 angle brush. Now for flowers, if you've got a child with a large forehead, then you're going to be wanting to look at this to fill up some real estate. Sort of medium sized forehead, you're going to be looking at the 5/8 long angle. That's got a really nice edge on it. They're really sharp, they pick up the colors beautifully. And then if you're doing small flowers, you can go down to the 1/4 inch angle, because then that'll give you tiny little flowers, because some kids only have tiny foreheads and they don't really have enough room to hold a flower that size without it dominating the face too much. Anyway, without further ado, I do designs on my on practice boards, but I really like to practice on my hand, because on my forearm here, because that gives you the feel of what the drag on skin is, which is much more realistic. The boards are great for planning out designs, but definitely to get that muscle memory and the and the consistency of the paint correct, you really need to be practicing on skin. So I use Fusion Pro Paraffin White. I love that for line work. I also sometimes lighten some of my cakes with the Fusion Pro Paraffin White, so you'll see me perhaps dipping into that just to lighten a one stroke a little bit. So let me just do a little bit of a start. I'm going to go in, and firstly I've got this color here, and this has got some really beautiful dark colors on the edges, so I can go in with this smaller brush and I can just pick up these beautiful colors on the end with a little bit of white in between there. Now I'll show you the difference with this. So if I was going to do a rose, I can come out and make some really pretty little petals like this, and you want to wait for these to dry in between. You don't really have to wait them dry, but you get much better results if they are dry. Now say I changed brushes, I'll show you what it looks like if I load the whole cake on. I'm just going to take that now, and I'm just going to, what I do is with the flowers, I want that orange to mix in a little bit with the pink, and it makes a really pretty shade here. So this is like for a bigger flower here. So you watch the difference when I start bringing in. See that orange on the end? It's a completely different feel, and see the difference in the size of the leaves. So I'm having to go to that size as opposed to that other. Now I'm just going to load that a little bit more. I'll just take a little bit of extra white there, and you can see that the more you work it, I've just wet my brush, I haven't wet the paints at this stage, I have water to the side. So see if you're getting those little rough edges, that means I don't have my paint wet enough. So I'm just going to go over that, and see now you're getting those really crisp, beautiful edges without those little lines. So this is like a larger rose, and I'm just going to make all of those little petals here. Now if I were to go to my smaller brush, that's going to give me tiny little rosebuds. So I might just pick up hardly anything from the dark and mainly these mid colors here, but I'll just grab my very edge of my brush on that dark color. And now you can see with this size, you get these cute little, now you're not picking up as many colors, but you've got a lot more control there. And I mean, I can do little rosebuds with that as well. So you can then go in. So now that's dry, I'm going to go back in and I can just move up a little bit on the cake. So I want a little bit more white and maybe pick up a little bit of that orange, but not so much of that dark on that second layer. So I'm just going to go in, and so you can see that it's barely picking up any of the orange. It's just giving the white basically a nice little offset color. And so here I can do this. See, it's giving you a much brighter color there than what you had underneath, just by moving it along. So instead of using the bottom of this cake and the white, I think that's a little bit too light, what I've actually just done on that darker undercolor. So I'm just going to go back over and mix this pink through this white, so it's not, look how, see how stark that is? I don't want it to be that stark. So see, I'm just going in and I'm going to take that orange out of it. Okay, so I've got that. Now I can go back in with my other brush, the bigger brush. That's a 3/4 angle. Oh, I just wet the wrong cake. That's so funny. So I'm going back in with that. And now I can do my other rose petals, my inner rose petals. There you go. So it's just moving that brush around a little bit. So that's all with the same cake. And then going back into this one, I'm just going to pick up just that pink and that white and a little bit of that magenta and just come in and finish this off here. I'll just do that quickly because that's sort of what I do on the job. It's just a really quick, it's just flicking a bit of paint around. You just need the idea of a rose basically. Now it's a little bit more difficult to do the inside of the rose with the larger brush. Now I'll show you, you've got to have pretty good self-control. So you don't want to do big swoops. You want to just pivot that brush, all right? So I'm just going to pivot here, do another one in here, and then close that off, and see how tiny I'm doing those little swoops there. It's hardly anything basically. And this one is still pretty wet, so you can see all of those bubbles. I could probably just try and go back in. I won't get the best results, but to be honest, on the job, you're not going to have a lot of choice. Sometimes the paint's not drying really well, so you're going to have to go back in even if it is a little bit wet. So I don't mind showing you. Sometimes I also do a weird thing, like if I need to, I just go like that, and I'd sort of take that wet off. And so I'm just going to do this, that. Now look how pretty that is there. I love that. See, it's a really pretty little, and so I can do some other rosebuds just on the side there. Okay, so then I've got a really pretty color in here called Tink. Again, for anyone that's forgotten what I said this palette was, it's Leanne's Butterfly palette. Now I like to use this for dinosaurs and dragons and things like that. So for my leaves though, I quite often will lighten this up. Now I have a little bit of pink on my brush, but that shouldn't matter too much. I'm just going to wet that a little bit, and I'm just going to pick up a tiny little bit of that end green, not too much. I don't want it too strong. So you can see that this is a really good one for leaves. So you look how bright and beautiful Tink is. It's like just the most, and you can turn the brush on its side and do a little sort of branch, and then it depends on how you go. You might want to wiggle your brush around. I like to turn my brush around and do some, like just some little, that's a little bit, just some little wiggly lines coming out of that. And then this as well, just as that green really pops all of your designs. It's a really, Tink is really beautiful. So that's with that cake there. Now you can go in, that's a little bit lighter, that cake. So let me just show you. You can basically follow all of those steps that I just gave you then. You can do it with this one here, is a really pretty one as well, with the yellow on the edge. I'll just see if I've got enough arm, but you can see that, look how pretty that color is. So just follow all that same steps that I did with the other ones and letting it dry in between. And you can do that, or otherwise we've got another one in here for pretty flowers, and you do different shape flowers. But this one here, actually I really like adding just a little bit of white to that one. I don't know why, it just makes it, I think it makes the yellow a little bit more opaque, but just working that really well. And this is a really pretty color as well. I don't have a lot of arm left here, so let me just see it. There you go. Now you'll notice that that is a little bit dry on the edge. You won't get that so much on the kids' faces, because like an adult arm is a lot drier than a child's face, so the skin on it, so your skin is literally just soaking up the water, especially on this part of my arm, because I'm getting a bit old now, so the skin is a little bit drier than it used to. But you can see that that is a really, really, really pretty color here. But I could do like some orange roses with that, or you can do your frangipanis, or even, you know, some calla lilies, which is just that sort of shape. So it's a really pretty palette. And you know, you've also got the other colors in here as well to do, you know, rainbow designs. As I said, your dragons or your dinosaurs. You can do pretty butterflies with these colors. And I also like this one here. I mean, you can do floral princess crowns and things, but this is a really pretty color for princess designs as well. And you can sort of, you can actually edge your butterflies in this. I know I said I was going to stick to florals, but this one you can edge your butterflies in these. I could do actually a pretty blue little rose with that. Look how pretty. I'll do this. So you can do a little blue rose. Oh, that's pretty. And I could go through, and that actually, you can see how well all of those color palettes sort of go together. Let me just see. I'll do the edging with a little bit with the bigger brush, the 5/8 angle brush. Let me just take you through this. But you don't have to pick up all the colors. You're just getting that pretty, those pretty end colors, super nice. I'll just go down here, and then you can just use the angle of that brush and edge your butterflies like that. I could double layer that. There you go. So see how pretty that is? Anyway, I just thought I'd do a little video today. Maybe now that's dry in there, I can go back in and finish that other rose off. So I really wanted that to dry, because you've got purple in this rose. You don't want to be, I'm just going to go around and close that really gently. So see, you've got that really pretty color there, and made like that would make such a pretty princess rose design crown like that. Anyway, that's all for me today. I felt like having a bit of a play with my paints, so I thought I would share it with you. Bye for now. My name's Leanne Courtney and I'm from Australia, and I design Leanne's Collection face paints for Fusion Body Art and Leanne's Rainbow brushes, which are my absolute favorite brushes. Oh, while I have you here, I was going to just sign off, but what I'll show you is the Leanne's Rainbow Flower Brush. Get the Fusion Pro Paraffin White, mix it really well, wipe off the excess on the edge of the cake there, and then you can go into any of the beautiful deep colors that are wet. And so sometimes I like to go into this one and this one here, and that gives me a beautiful let me find a space. I'm just going to have to do it here, and that gives me beautiful double dip flowers, and I can turn it on its side and you get these beautiful little flowers here with that. Hope you like this tutorial, and grab a number 4 from Leanne's Collection if you want to do some dots, because I love dots in the middle of my double dip flowers. And I'm just going to do some really perfect dots on there. See, once you add dots, it makes it really pretty. And this brush here also does really pretty teardrops as well. You can even do double teardrops with that and just come down and line it. There you go. Hope you like those. Just put a little bit more paint on there and see, you've got those beautiful double dip flowers with some dots in the middle. See you for now. Bye.